first thought is I'm a little bit old for Santa questions, really. And the second thing is, I think that when you're as fortunate as I've been in my career, had, a wonderful time, and there isn't, quite frankly, that much you want for anymore, really. And the things you do want for are the things that certainly money can't buy, and you can only hope are going to come to you. And I mean, the first thing, of course, is good health, because especially as you get older, you see people who are not so much older than you and who've been friends of yours dying, and that, Dave Sexton's funeral recently this week was a classic example of that. And of course, the other thing you want success in your life still, because, I'm sure it applies to all of you here. You don't really lose ambition in that respect. You all the time you're working, you want to succeed, you want to do well, you want to be regarded as successful in your working life. So, of course, for me, next year is very important, because I want to qualify with England. I want to go to Brazil. In recent times, I would say, the times that you can all recognise and think about, I'd be tempted to say Brian Robson. I thought he was the ultimate midfield player. We like to divide midfield players up into, well, he's a good attacking midfield player. He's a good wide midfield player. He's a good defensive midfield player. I always used to think with Brian Robson, you had the lot in one. You never know, do you? Stranger things than losing to Scotland have happened in my career, that's for sure.
Not that many, surely.
No, I don't want to go down that. Don't want to go down the routes. I worked at Bristol City in the early 80s, when the club was just about to go into liquidation, and we had many a Scot in the team, and there was a constant rivalry between the Scots and the English, and there was a competition at the time called the Anglo-Scottish Cup, and it was played for by minor teams. And I say minor teams, teams from the 3rd and 4th division of England, teams from Scotland. And one day, I think it was Rangers or Hearts, one of the big teams, had lost to some very small English team. When I saw the result, I thought, blimey, there's a result. They're going to get some stick here, the boys, from 1 or 2. When I went into training, not a word. Another day went by, not a word. Third day went by, not a word. And they just had to walk in the dressing room one day, and Chris Garland said, "See the result last night, boys?" And they went, "What result?" And of course, he hit them with it. And the Scots, clubs will do what they have to do. I can't for 1 minute expect a manager who's under a lot of pressure at his club to get results to start thinking long term for the benefits of the England national team. If he thinks his interests are best served by going and getting a player from Montenegro or from Russia or from Israel or from anywhere else for that matter, they've got to be entitled to do that. My hope's got to be that if these players, and you mentioned, say Oxlade, just take his as a good example, because at the moment he plays some, he doesn't play others. What he's got to do, he's got to become so good that Arsene Wenger doesn't want to look elsewhere. Arsene Wenger's going to look at players outside and say, well, they're not as good as Oxlade. And that's what we've got to hope for, and that's got to be their ambition. So rather than complain about the fact that there are a lot of foreign players, let's turn it on its head and say, well, let's make certain now then that our players do better. And I would just have to accept that if I pick some of these players, because I believe in them and I think they are good enough, even though they might not be playing every week for their club team, I will have to live with the criticisms which will come. How come you're picking him when he's not in the team? But you get, with the England national team, you get that all the time. You can't constantly look towards the future, because you need to win in the present. But one of my concerns for England has always been that we're not trying to win in the present, we're trying to win in the past. And, we can't do that. I know it's 1966, and I know it's 50 years, and I know we've failed here and there, and I know we've missed penalty shootouts, but unfortunately there's not very much I can do today to change it. That's historical. You can't turn back the clock. You can't win yesterday. You can only win today. And while winning today, you should have an eye on how we're going to win tomorrow.